Yes, we're carrying on the mini year-end lists in the run-up to the end of the year. We started last week with the most disappointing albums of the year. We got one of the most negative ones out of the way first, but from here on out, we're focusing on the positives. And today, I want to highlight some of the most overlooked, underrated albums of the year, albums that I think are absolutely worth your time, but for whatever reason, it could be lack of media coverage or whatever, they've just gone under the radar and I haven't seen that many people speak about the albums. So I'm here to fix that today and give you guys some new recommendations, and hopefully before you make your year-end list you get at least one album from this video that you're going to throw on there. That would be a nice little achievement, you know? That'll be nice. If you can get one album, that would be good. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Before that, make sure you check out my Patreon and support me over on there if you're really feeling generous. It helps the channel keep going, helps me consistent with the videos, and at the very least, subscribe, like the video, share it around, and let me know what your picks are in the comments. What would be your underrated, overlooked albums of the year? I want to mention Hannah Francis to start with. I thought this was a really great album, and it did get some coverage. It did get some people getting hype about it because it really feels like it's its own thing in the year of music. It feels quite separate. There isn't really anything out there at the moment that's really going for this style or vibe. It's like this folky album that really feels like it's from a different time period. It reminds me of kind of like Richard Dawson, who makes music, particularly the album Peasant, which is still a really great album actually. I haven't gone back to that one as much as I probably should have, but Peasant is really great. But it reminds me of that, where it just feels like it's from a medieval time and doesn't really exist in the modern world. And Hannah Francis just has this kind of like bellowing, like haunting vocal that goes along with it that's really unique, really interesting. And yeah, these tracks are just fantastic. Like, such a good album. Not really one I've seen a huge amount of talk about since it came out earlier in the year. It kind of was one of those that got a bit of mini buzz and then everyone kind of moved on. Well, don't forget about it, because I think this is very much in a contention for a lot of people's year-end lists, okay? So check it out. Now, I know a lot of us had a very similar experience with the Brockhampton phase. We were all excited about it to begin with, and then a few years later it fizzled out. A few things left sour tastes in our mouths, you know what I'm talking about. And also the music itself kind of just waned and didn't sound as exciting as it did when it first burst onto the scene. But some of the members have gone solo and some of the members have gone in their own direction. And I'm here to say that Matt Champion, I personally think, has the best solo album of any of the Brockhampton members. I know some people will say, no, Kevin Abstract is the guy, is the one out of the group that makes the best albums. I'm here to say otherwise. I think this Matt Champion album really highlights that there is a skill set here for Matt to really take this sound further and really carve a cool niche for himself, because this is very much in the kind of bedroom pop lane that we're hearing a lot of at the moment. There's a lot of these kind of bedroom pop niche artists bursting through. The Marias have a bit of a minor hit going on at the moment, and their album earlier this year was great too. Make sure you check that one out. A bit of a bonus one to add to this video. But yeah, that kind of style of music is kind of growing a little bit more, and Matt Champion is adding nicely to that list. There's some really nice lush instrumentation going on here. Some of the vocals are really charming. The feature of Dora Jar, who I'm a big fan of, love Dora Jar. I think that track is just super sweet. Such a lovely tune there. Really great track. And yeah, lots of really nice moments on this album. I just feel like there's something about what Matt's doing here that I'm warming to. I'm liking what he's doing, and I think it just went a bit under the radar comparatively to what, you know, the Brockhampton stuff ended up going on to do. I haven't uploaded this short video of this album review yet, but I do have it all ready to go. I will put it up at some point, but Nubya Garcia is one that I want to mention here because, yeah, I was somebody that overlooked it initially. This album came out way back in like September, I think. I didn't even know it had come out. And then a few months later, I was like, wait a minute. There's a Nubya Garcia album. One of the best, most explosive, exciting jazz artists of our time, guys. We need to do more for Nubya, because she is absolutely exceptional. The music is explosive, it's spiritual, it's super engaging, it's full of life. Like seriously, there is not many artists in the modern world of jazz doing it like her. This is incredible stuff. And yes, I'm a victim myself of underrating it initially and completely letting it fly over my head and not realizing it had come out. But I've made the right decision now. I've done the right thing. I've corrected the wrongs that I did initially, and I'm here to add it onto this list because it really is great. Speaking of short videos that I have on this channel, I did actually already upload this one very recently for Roy Blair, Chasing Moving Trains. This is one of the best albums of the year for me. Again, going super underrated and overlooked. I think the people that are aware of Roy Blair are very excited about him, but I still feel like there's definitely an audience that could tap into this that currently isn't. I mean, if you're a fan of like that kind of emo rap, emo pop style of music, that kind of digicore sort of element of music, like Eric DOA or Glaive, or particularly a Breakance as well, like you're gonna definitely be liking a Roy Blair, because this is super in that lane. There's an amazing 3-track run at the start of the album as well. Tracks like Hummingbird are super catchy, super infectious. I like his style, I like his approach to the sound. And then you've got tracks like Strawberry that are basically like this like weird, like obscure sort of hyper pop blend coming through, which sounds really, really great. And then the final track, which I think is the best song on the album, Garden. My God, this track took me aback when I first heard it. I was really impressed with this one. This reminds me a lot of like something Porter Robinson would do, or maybe a Geron, like that really atmospheric, dreamy soundscape. And the track goes on for like ages as well. It's a super long track, but it doesn't feel like it goes on too long. Like it really justifies its runtime. Yeah, lots going on this album that feels like it's pulling from all these kinds of different things, all these different influences, all these different sounds coming through to combine to create really one of the best albums of the year. So yeah, Roy Blair, 100% check this one out too. Kelly Moran, one of the most beautiful albums of the year. I just feel like anybody that just wants something peaceful for an album's length runtime, you're just missing a trick by not sticking this one on. It is just so gorgeous. It's very much just kind of like piano instrumentals from start to end, because Kelly Moran is a bit more of like a versatile artist, but on this one it's just really super mellow, beautiful sounds of piano, and there isn't really much more to say than that. So yeah, again, I want to add it to this one to the list because I feel like it can appeal to pretty much anybody. I want to mention Foxing for their album, because this one was a bit of a surprise for me, I will say. Like, it wasn't one I was absolutely highly anticipating, and I know some people out there absolutely adore Foxing. I was cool with Foxing before this album. I thought they were good, I thought they were solid, I thought they had a really nice sort of emo sound to them, but this time around they've still got that, but goddamn, they are just on another level with some of the like the track progressions and some of the vocals that feel so wacky and out there and strange, but it really all works. Like, I don't think this one is going to be for everybody, and I think people who are aware of the band would probably say that themselves anyway, but this one does feel like the most experimental album that they've put out so far. And yeah, I was really floored by it. Like, some of these instrumental crescendos are explosive, the sound is super dynamic. Yeah, I was really impressed with this Foxing album. And where's the hype for it? You know, you had those people hyping up the last album they put out, but this one seems to, again, have gone under the radar, so I had to mention it. I want to mention Eliza McLamb, who is adding to the diversity of the sounds and styles to this list, because we've got a pretty much straightforward singer-songwriter album here that deals with the kind of acoustic, mellow sounds that you maybe hear from like a Phoebe Bridgers album or something like that, but this sound is becoming the it thing right now. These indie darlings are starting to come through and, you know, write really sincere and heartfelt lyrics with some really nice vocals over some pretty straightforward, you know, jams, to be honest. But yeah, really great stuff on this album. I feel like Modern Woman is one of the most underrated songs of the year. I thought there'd be more people gassing up this song, to be honest with you. But yeah, really lovely stuff from Eliza McLamb. Definitely one to watch for the future. I feel like there's a songwriter here that could really explode and get some virality to her name. But for now, you should be checking this one out. And this is the last album I'm going to mention, if you don't mind. I wanted to mention Courting's album from earlier this year, which actually falls in the underrated category, because if you go to rate your music, this album is below a 3.00. I think it's like a 2.8 or something, which is like pretty average and pretty like much regarded as most people not liking it on that website. I think usually when you drop below a 3, that's the end game for you. But honestly, I think this is super underrated. I think seeing them live heightened how good some of these songs are as well. I can see maybe what people aren't liking. It's the vocoder, perhaps, maybe doing a bit too much on the vocals. I don't know. I think it works. I think it makes these songs sound really hyperactive and exciting. It adds a really new sound and flair to what they were doing, because their first album, literally nothing like it. I mean, the only track that I think you could say is like the first album is probably Flex, which is a great track, actually. Really super fun track. Silly lyrics on there, but they're very super aware and hyper aware of what they're saying. It's very, very fun in that sense. But yeah, I just feel like there's a lot of fun to be gained from this album, and I maybe seeing it live again just made me appreciate it a little bit more, because it adds a bit more of a kick to the tracks, you know. But I don't know. Again, I think this has just gone pretty underrated, and I like it. And they've got a new album on the way coming soon as well. So yeah, they're pretty active with these albums, because there's already one scheduled for next year. So interested to see if they take this sound further or they change it up a little bit. But I like this for what it was. And that is it from me. This is my list of the most overlooked and underrated albums of the year. You know, I always do one of these every single year, so it's nothing new on the channel, but I always like to do these videos. As always, let me know in the comments what you would pick, if you agree with my picks or disagree, if there's anything you should recommend to me that you think's gone underrated or overlooked. Let me know. There'll be more videos like this coming up as well. Of course, the one that you guys suggested to me over on social media, where I post every year, and the gems that you discovered, that video will be coming up at some point as well. So we'll be having even more albums that have gone under the radar that I want to be highlighting on this channel. So yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. Hopefully you've got some recommendations from it. I'd love to see that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Have a good day. Subscribe. Goodbye.